if you never stopped doing up your kids' shoelaces, they'll be 21 and still not able to do up their shoelaces because they've learned to be helpless.
Yeah.
And so potentially my question to anybody listening to this episode right now is, are you teaching your team to be helpless? You don't mean to, but is the result of what you're doing actually teaching your team to be helpless?
If you want more time, money, freedom, and have a business that's not reliant on you, then you're in the right place. Each week, Mark Creedon, along with some of the very best business minds in the world, will take you through simple, practical steps you can take to create the business you always wanted. From his own practical experience, Mark will show you how to work less, make more, and get the business you always wanted, the one that you deserve. Now here's your host, one of Australia's most sought-after business coaches, Mark Creedon.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Family Business Podcast. In this podcast, we help you in your family business to scale your business, get freedom, and have a business that's a lot less reliant on you. In this episode, we're going to talk about problem ownership and how doing more isn't the answer. As always, joining me in the chair is Caroline.
Hi, Mark.
Nice to have you back
Thank
after
you.
having a couple of weeks off, really.
Yes.
Sick.
But I'm excited.
All right, let's get into it. So we're talking about problem ownership, Caroline, and really the trick here is to try and get business owners to understand that what they should be aiming for is less problem ownership. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the whole idea, isn't it, right?
Yes.
You know, to
Less
empower your
problems
team.
anyway.
Well, yeah, well, that's right. But to empower your team so that you actually have less problems coming across your desk.
Yes.
Because otherwise, again, what we see a lot of is, you know, people will come to us and they'll say, I've just got some real bottlenecks in my business. And when we pull it apart, we realise that they are actually the bottleneck. Do you know what I mean?
What, like difficult bosses? I don't think you're a difficult boss. But, you know.
I'm surprised you even acknowledge that I'm your boss.
No, I didn't say my boss. I
right, okay.
absolutely did not say that.
Well, we'll play that recording back later and see what you actually said. All right, let's talk about, I think one of the things is when you talk about the fact that over-instructing is killing ownership. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I think when you get into you're getting close to over-instructing a team member, that falls very closely into micromanaging. Nobody wants to be micromanaged. If you have to micromanage someone, they're going to start to feel that you don't trust them and they're just going to not be an engaged and happy team member, productive.
See, I think what happens, I mean, I agree with everything you've said, as I always do, but I think what happens when you over-instruct, and you know, there'll be people listening to this now going, I'm not a micromanager, but if I don't tell them what to do, they won't do it. Or if I don't tell them how to do it, or I don't show them how to do it, or I don't do it for them, nobody will do it as well as I do. They'll take too long. All of these sorts of multitude of excuses we hear all the time. But the reality is, if you don't think about it in terms of micromanaging, because nobody's going to admit to being a micromanager, but if you are over-instructing, so every time somebody comes to you with an issue, you feel like you need to map out an encyclopedia on how they need to solve this problem, then you're right. I reckon the big issue here is they're going to start to feel like you don't trust them. And this is a good example, I think, like what we see with families in business is the last thing that I would ever say to you is I don't trust you.
Yep.
Right? But I could say I don't trust you without actually saying it. And so I actually think that in families, it has an even higher, in family dynamics, it has an even higher impact. So if you come to me and say, can you help me with something? And I go, look, yes, I'll show you how to do it.
Yep.
Can I give you an example?
That's probably the worst thing. You can't show me how to do something. Well, you can't tell me I can't do something.
Well, I
Definitely
do.
Can't tell
no,
me
but
that.
I do. Anytime I really want you to do something, I'll tell you can't do it, and then I know you'll do it. All the blokes listening to this know now exactly what I'm talking about. But can I give you a real world example from my life? So my old man, I mean, Dad's been gone for 30-odd years and walked to the moon and back to spend another day with him. But he used to say, particularly with handyman things, because, you know, I'm not, like, let's be honest, I'm not handy, but I can do little bits and pieces around the place. But anyway, he always used to say, hey, I want you to come and help me with this. And then I would just stand there and watch him do it. And I remember thinking, even as a teenager, going, well, fuck, what a waste of time. Man, if you wanted to do it, you should have just fucking done it, right? As opposed to making me watch you do it. So now I've spent all this time watching, and I'm not learning anything.
But he was hopeful that you might actually turn the corner.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. And what's really interesting is Nick's on the other side of the camera here. He's raising his eyebrows probably because he's thinking that the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. Although I probably did the same thing to him when he was younger. But do you know what I mean? If what you're going to do is always do things for your team,
Yep.
or go into the nth degree of showing them how to do it, I think the big thing that you've hit on there is that it takes away trust. And so what's the outcome of that? So they come to you with a problem and you start doing it for them, or going into the nth degree of showing them how to do it.
Yeah. They're actually going to stop thinking for themselves.
Yep.
We were having a chat with somebody the other day, and they're not getting there, not getting to their task. And part of that is because they're solving everybody else's issues. Instead of when someone comes to you with an issue, get them to say, well, how are you going to solve that?
Yeah,
They're actually having to use their brain, and they want to use their brain.
Well, we see that a lot. I mean, we see that a lot.
all
We
the
talk about bottlenecks. We see clients come into our family business mastermind program, and they sort of go, well, hang on, what's the bottleneck? They turn out to be the bottleneck. But I think the other big thing is that we sort of see that they've got people around them. They've actually stopped thinking for themselves.
Yeah.
It's actually a term called learned helplessness.
Okay.
So people learn to be helpless. And the example or the analogy I always use, if you never stopped doing up your kids' shoelaces. Kids probably don't wear shoelaces, they just wear Crocs now. But like if you stop doing up your kids' shoelaces, they'll be 21 and still not able to do up their shoelaces because they've learned to be helpless.
Yeah.
And so potentially my question to anybody listening to this episode right now is, are you teaching your team to be helpless? You don't mean to, but is the result of what you're doing actually teaching your team to be helpless?
I'm just thinking too, you could probably, if you're in denial, which a lot of people sort of, maybe they are in denial that they're actually that person doing this, look at the staff retention. So if you've got happy staff, they're feeling like they're thinking for themselves, they've got a lot of creativity in the role and in the work that they're doing, they feel good about that.
Yep.
They have their own, autonomy going on. They're not going to leave. They're going to be happy to work because they know that they're actually achieving something, as opposed to somebody standing over the side of them sort of saying, no, do this, no, do that. So
that over-instructing is killing ownership, and people feel like they're not trusted. They'll stop thinking. They develop this learned helplessness.
Yep.
And so I think, I guess the next question is, well, okay, so what do I do differently? All right, Caroline, you know it all. So you're telling me that I'm a micromanager, and you're telling me I'm overthinking and I'm over-instructing and I'm killing productivity and I'm creating learned helplessness. What do I do instead?
Yeah, sure. Show them the outcome.
Yep.
Teach them what the outcome is.
Yep.
Teach them what the standard that you want, and give them the full picture, whether it's the journey, whether it's the particular task, and give them the deadlines, what it is going to look like, by when, and who they're going to report to. And I think that's how you eliminate that.
So I'll give you a real world example. If somebody's listening to this and going, okay, that's all good, but how do I actually do that in reality? I got an email the other day from our national marketing manager, and she said, are you happy if I do this, or should I do this, or are you happy if I do that? And I went back and went, do you have KPIs? Answer, yes. Great. Your job is to meet those KPIs within the standards that we've set, within the
Parameters, yep.
Well, Greg Hankinson's favourite, guardrails, within the guardrails that we've set. How you go about doing it, I don't really care. I don't really care if it's in the guardrails and you know what it is I want you to achieve. How you go about it is up to you. And it just gives people that freedom. You know what? It's kind of nice to do that too, by the way. Can I tell you, sending that email back made me feel really good because I thought, well, there's something that's off my plate.
You don't have to think about it.
Well, I don't have to, but I thought two things. I thought there's something that's off my plate. I've just empowered someone to do it, and I've given them the freedom to actually deliver and feel good about themselves as well.
Yep. And if you set that person to do that, that's obviously a part of their genius. It's something that they are good at, they like doing, or if it's not getting done properly, then perhaps they're not the right person for that job. But I think it often falls back into the leader.
So, absolutely. I mean, you and I say that all the time, right? If we see somebody's doing a shit job, the question I always pose is, what training have they had, right? And so we started by saying that over-instructing is killing creativity, it's killing trust and ownership and stuff like that. But I think the other thing too is how you react to mistakes, because mistakes are inevitable, right?
You learn from mistakes.
Someone's going to screw something up.
Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a leader, as a business owner, how you react to those mistakes.
They have to feel safe. I think
Yeah.
there's got to be. Well, I mean, we always say in the office, if nothing is ever too bad that you don't have a safe place, you don't have a safe person to go to.
Yeah.
You need to be able to have that
Like a safe word.
person to go to.
No.
A safe word,
No, just a safe place.
a safe place.
Yeah. No, but you're 100%
Tiffany
right.
Jewelers.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing that is, I think that's important, and I remember working, Caroline, we worked, when we were sort of doing the one-on-one coaching work we worked with this guy, and his answer was, when something was mistaken, was like, oh, give it to me, I'll fix it, I'll do it myself.
I see, that's just
Look how-
condescending and
Look, and
mean.
then it's, look what I've done, I fixed this. So that's all about their ego, or actually their lack of ego and their lack of self-esteem. Well, their own self-esteem, really, their own self-recognition. But I just think that how you react to a mistake is going to be vitally important.
Yep.
Can I share a story on that, please? So Phil DeBella, who owns the Coffee Commune here in Brisbane, started DeBella Coffee. One of the things that Phil always said, I remember sitting in his office once, and a guy, one of his major coffee roasters, came in and said to him, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to tender my resignation. Phil went, what do you mean, what's going on? He goes, well, I've just burnt the entire day's roast. And that's, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of coffee. And Phil said to him, well, hang on a second. When you woke up this morning, did you say, I'm going to go in and burn this? And he went, well, of course I didn't. He goes, well, then get the hell out of my office and go back and roast some more coffee. Do you know what I mean? I think that's...
Yeah.
I've had people come to me and say, listen, I made this mistake, I'll pay for it out of my pocket. And I've always gone, well, hang on, did you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to stuff this up today? No. Well, then let's just get on with it and fix it. And what happens is people then feel safe that they can come to you and go, you know what, I screwed this one up.
I think if a mistake has been made, not a problem. It's actually it can be a positive, because you can look at it and go, okay, what did they learn?
Yep.
What can we do different next time?
Yep.
And then once that's been acknowledged and it's super clear, no problem. It's all good.
So I think where that's really relevant is that you're not just managing outcomes, you're actually shaping behaviour, right?
Yeah.
If you want to build a business that's not reliant on you, now what do we always say? Can you go away for 6 weeks and the business, just
Run smoothly without you.
runs smoothly without you? Now, if you are the sort of person that over-instructs, as we said at the beginning of this, if you're the sort of person that reacts poorly to mistakes, then you can't do that because you're not going to empower people. People aren't going to feel safe that they can make a mistake and fix it for themselves. They're not going to feel that they can go looking for a solution for themselves.
Or make a decision.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right. I think the third thing around what could potentially killing you with your team is so we spoke about over-instructing how you react to mistakes. But I think the other thing is unclear expectations.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? I don't know what you want.
Yeah. How do you think that, I look at that and I go, well, how can you be a leader and not have that ability to have communicated clearly about what you're wanting to achieve? If it's not there,
Yep.
if there's not going to be an outcome, you're not going to be happy with the result at the end of it, and then your team's going to feel terrible.
So I think that as a leader in a business, no matter how big your business is, you have to be an artist,
Yep.
right?
Okay.
To be an artist, you have to be able to paint what the picture looks like. But that won't happen if you're clear. Like, the thing that I found over the years, Caroline, and we've been doing this a long time now, that in family businesses, as in most businesses, the biggest factor that causes issues is communication.
Yeah.
And so when I say you've got to be an artist, you've got to be a communication artist. You've got to paint the picture of what it is that success looks like and what done means, and then be really clear on those expectations. If you get super clear expectations, then it kind of accountability takes care of itself. Yeah,
Falls into place.
it does. And it all sort of comes together if you're super clear on what that final picture looks like.
Yep. I think they're able to they'll get ownership on the task if there's clarity on the task.
Well, I'm glad that you've gone into ownership, because I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because the reality is ownership doesn't come, I think, this is a nice wrap up of what we've been talking about, because ownership comes when you build a culture of ownership. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you build a culture of ownership, people feel comfortable in saying to you, I own the mistake, but they also feel comfortable in coming to you and go, guess what? Like, I see them, our team come to your door and go, hey, Caroline, guess what? Mm-hmm. Guess what I just did? And like, they're really proud of themselves that they've achieved something.
Yeah.
And they're chuffed, and then we get chuffed.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually love it when the clients do that. We have a client in Newcastle, and he's just a
Hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris. A happy dance on one of his blogs.
Right, yeah.
And it was so cool. He was just so happy, and
he had a win, and he recorded a happy dance.
Yep.
But we do that. So like every Friday in our mastermind session, mastermind group, we have a Focus Friday session every Friday morning for our paid members. And but how we start that session every week is what's been your win for the week.
Yeah.
Right. So, you've got to build a culture of ownership, not just in the negative by going, hey, I've stuffed it up and I'll own it, because I think that's important, as we just spoke about before. But I think owning the wins. You've got to build that overall culture of ownership.
Yep. And it should be, they're excited to tell you about the win, and you should be excited about the win, and not for the result, but for the emotional state of the person.
For them.
Yeah.
For the ownership they take of it. And I love it when we get clients from our program who jump on and go, I had this great win last week. Oh, guess what? I finally... Richard, took me, 732 days to get a client across the line. Right? Wears it like a badge of honour. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So
I think he had that down to the hours.
Yeah, he did. Hours and minutes, I think. Okay. So here's the thing. I think it's this. If you're sitting listening to this now and you're going, you know what, my team isn't taking ownership, or my partner isn't taking ownership, right? You've got to look at, is it a clarity problem? Is it a trust problem? Are you being super clear around what the expectations are? Is there a culture of ownership in your business? Are you micromanaging, or are you actually giving them the room to breathe? Are you being an artist and painting the picture around what success looks like and what done means, etc.? And I think they're the really little tips and tricks that you can drop into your business. And these are quite easy things to put in place, aren't they?
I believe that you need to track the progress without micromanaging.
Yep.
So if there is a big task, or if there's a big project that you're doing, it needs to be measured along the way, but not micromanaged.
100%, a big difference. And I think if you're listening to this now and saying, I wonder if this applies to me, well, I think if you're wondering that, it probably does. But I think the other thing you can ask yourself, am I responsible for everything in my business? Does everything come through me? Because what will happen if you don't take on board these couple of little tips and tricks that we're giving you in today's episode, what will happen is you will become the ceiling, right? The business will not scale beyond you. And what you have then is really a job, not a business, because it just needs you to be there. And I always think of Andrew when we talk about this. When Andrew came to us, he goes, I just want to get some freedom. And here he is, a few years later, he takes 8 months off, 9 months off, and travels the world. And in fact, when he checked in on the business, on the team, they'd go, listen, can you just bugger off? Because we got this.
We've got
it covered. We got this.
Yep.
How cool would that be?
Yep. Great.
Good stuff. Always good to chat. This is the Family and Business podcast, and look forward to chatting to you next time. In the meantime, please make sure you spend time with those who matter most.